morning and welcome to the 2021 Baldwin Whitehall Senior Interview Day. My name is Randy Lutz, Superintendent of the Baldwin Whitehall School District. And on behalf of the Board of School Directors, it is absolutely my pleasure to welcome you to this day. It's a day of celebration, a day of accomplishments. It's a day of community collaboration to honor and validate the work of children over these past 13 years. But it's also a day that has not come very easy for these seniors or these educators or this community, really given the events of the past 14 months or so. Normally we'd be in the auditorium at the Baldwin High School, but we know that's not possible today. But with all the things that the pandemic has taken away from us, it's also allowed us to learn and to grow and to do some really neat remote stuff, like this YouTube video. So this YouTube video today, it has an active chat feature that allows participants to comment to each other. Dr. Janine Paradin will be monitoring that chat for me today. And so in a few minutes, I will be introducing all the folks that are on this video call and allow them to, they have the opportunity now or then to really share any kind of comments, any feedback, or just welcoming statements. The pandemic has taken away so many things, but we've also, we've learned and we've grown. And normally, we wouldn't be able to have the participants present because of just busy schedules. And so now with YouTube, with Zoom, with Google and other tools, we can connect across distances that over a year ago we've never really thought what was possible or we weren't comfortable with, for sure. Let me take a moment to put ourselves in the shoes of the children. Today's class of 2021. So in March of 2020, life as they knew it changed. While the focus for those final few months of the 2020 school year were really on the current seniors, these students had to be thinking that what would be in store for them in the following year. I think the senior year just so cherished, so exciting, long sought, all of the activities, the events that come with that status. And that status is important. But here we are. It's all in jeopardy. We're thinking like a senior now, right? But the class of 2021, the kids that we'll be interacting with very shortly, their reality now became remote learning, hybrid days with some of their friends, school closures, lunchrooms that look like nothing as they should, one-way hallways. Baldwin High School is confusing enough with two-way hallways, but now we added one-way hallways. I think you can walk, I think the south end is nearly in Pleasant Hills and the north end is nearly in Brentwood. But now we added one-way hallways. It's like the bridge to nowhere for those old enough to know what that means. It's kind of what we felt like those first few weeks. But not only did they persevere, they excelled. They really excelled. Senior year was not what they expected. It actually turned out to be much more. I'd like to next recognize and talk about the Baldwin Whitehall educational staff and the faculty, not only for their work in getting to this point, but in getting here themselves as well. This is really no understatement. You think back, March 13th, 2020. That day, the day began with a press conference that reinforced the notion of local control for all school districts, local decision making as this virus was starting to take a grip on not only our state, our region, the country, and of course the world. But it was also a day that ended in an anticipated 2-week closure of schools, the longest 2 weeks of our lives. Dr. DeChester, who's our board president, Dr. Chester, next time I think I ask for 2 weeks off, I may try to use the same philosophy for a 2-week vacation. We'll see how that works. Probably not so well. But as a district, we went into that closure with a few goals in mind. And in all seriousness, it was a very serious time, and it still is. Our first goal, let's get the kids fed. How can we feed children? Food insecurity, what does that mean? And Joyce Weber and your team just did incredible work. Let's get devices and connectivity into the hands of kids that can't connect and don't know what to do. Dr. Paradin and your team, just incredible, incredible work. And then let's focus on the mental health and the well-being of kids. Let's let the curriculum sit in that second chair for once. Standardized tests have been put on the shelves. It was a day that we all dreamed of as educators, and probably for most of us in our career, a day that we've never realized. But here it was. Standardized test on the shelf. What would we do? How could we do it? What would be different? As educators, you did it. What began in March of 2020 has really changed the landscape of education, not only in Baldwin-Whitehall, but in the region, the state, and of course the nation. And we should never forget those lessons. It would be easy, but short-minded and short-sighted to simply say that the faculty worked hard during those times. Because hard work alone would not have got us where we wanted to be, where we needed to be. Hard work along with creativity, risk-taking, and empathy all combined into be a pretty special product. One that allowed the district to not only survive the early days of COVID in the past year, but to really shift that focus, pivot, use an overused word, but to pivot to a situation of being able to thrive as we look to move forward, not only for the rest of this year, but as what next year looks like in years to come. Now that we may be beyond some of the things that we had to do in relation to remote learning, COVID, and the pandemic, now let's think about the things that we want to do or that we should do and what are really good for kids. That's what we'd look to do as we move into the 2021-22 school year and move beyond where we are now. Our work and the work of the region has not gone unnoticed. As a member of the Board of Governors for the PASA, Pennsylvania Association for School Administrators, we've often met virtually throughout the course of the year with representatives across the state, across the region, across the Commonwealth. We've shared our struggles, we've shared our worries, we've shared our accomplishments. I would listen to what was occurring in other places. You think about the challenges that they had, the demographics, geography, urban, rural, suburban. You think about some of the mountain districts and connectivity. So we'd hear those struggles. We'd listen to the political struggles that were happening and the political pressures that school districts and school leaders were under. The issues around labor, union-based labor, contracts, collective bargaining agreements. And through all of that, I often felt like Dorothy in Wizard of Oz, thinking that there was just no place like home. And I really mean that. Just recently, SHASDA, which is the South Hills Area School District Association, they created a video piece led by really the incredible work of Dr. Jill Jacoby from the Fort Cherry School District that highlights the successes and the challenges of our member school districts. There's about 25 school districts in that group. And so Dr. Jacoby, with myself and Mr. Godovic from South Park, we shared up this effort, and Jill really took the lead. And the project highlights the work that we have all done throughout the course of this past year. The project has really garnered the support of the Grable Foundation and has really started to catch the attention of advocacy groups and organizations across the Commonwealth as a true advocacy piece for public schools. And I look forward to seeing where that piece and Baldwin-Whitehall's contribution will go through this work. I've been so proud to be involved in these types of efforts with really the wonderful educators in the Baldwin-Whitehall area, of course, in the Pittsburgh region. While today starts and ends with the children and the students in mind, we know that the work is made so much stronger by the community partners that we have, local and beyond. And the feedback that you provide to the district as part of this process is really critical, not only just to make the process better, because the day is something that really is special for the Baldwin-Whitehall School District. It makes our educational system better. Let's talk about the day just for a minute. So the senior project was something that was an initiative through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and I'll kind of a little teaser here. Matt Stem, Pennsylvania Deputy Director for Pennsylvania Education Department, is on the call. So Thank you to Mr. Stem for all of your work over the course of this past year. But what really began as a statewide initiative for seniors, and things changed. And so that requirement lifted, was changed, and that schools were no longer required to do some of the things that they were forced to do in the past. We had a team get together at Baldwin High School probably 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, and we really talked about the future of the senior project because there's a class link to it. So what does this mean moving forward? I sat back as a second or third year superintendent, and I started to listen to the conversation, and I knew at that moment that this was a tradition. We were hooked because it wasn't me from a top-down point of view saying how important it was and why we must do this. It was the committee members where they were really fighting for what was so important for the kids and in this process. And I knew it at that moment we were hooked. So that process has grown, and it's grown from being within the district to the community at large, and now basically beyond. I'd like to recognize the folks that are on the call. We know that the Baldwin-Whitehall faculty and staff have carved out this day, and it's a truly special day for them. Not only do they get the opportunity to see children from really across the grade level, so starting at kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade, they can see the journey of children. And so one of the best things when we were doing it in person, and of course now remotely, where kids can sit down with the teacher, maybe their kindergarten teacher, their fifth grade teacher, someone from middle school, and now here they are as a senior, and really being reflective on their educational career and what that means and has meant to them. Really powerful stuff for our staff. But for our community also, again, really, really powerful day for us and hopefully for you. So at the risk of missing somebody, and that's always a challenge, let me start by recognizing the elected officials on the call. So from the Baldwin-Whitehall School Board, Mr. Rob Oxane, Mrs. Karen Brown, Mr. Jerry Pantone, Mr. Pete Giglione, Mrs. Janice Tarson, and Mrs. Amanda Priano. Thank you all for being here. From Baldwin Council, Ms. Denise Maiden and Mr. Francis Scott. From Whitehall Council and Baldwin-Whitehall Educational Foundation, Mr. John Wotus. At the state level, and we have a fantastic representation from our state representatives and senators. So Representative Dan Miller from the PA House, Senator Devlin Robinson from the PA Senate, Representative Nick Piscatano from the PA House, and Representative Jessica Benham, also from the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. Thank you to all of you for taking the time, especially on an election day, which I know is a very, very busy day for you all. Community leaders, Paula Kelly and Denise Ignaski from the Whitehall Library, Todd Plunkett, the Baldwin EMS chief, Mr. Robert Fear, the Baldwin Borough manager, Chief Jason Gregoric, Whitehall Police Department, Chief Tony Cortazzo, Baldwin Police Department, and Brentwood Borough Manager George Boyovsky. Now, George, I know that you're on the call and you're from Brentwood, and I know we can't sit, even when we sit too close together at Chamber of Commerce meetings, that evil M word starts to surface, merger. So George and I are always very sensitive to that, so we tend to not to sit and talk too much together because evidently it always coming out of that, there starts rumors. But George is a fantastic partner. I value his work on the chamber and the fact that this is not just about Baldwin-Whitehall School District, but also from the community at large. Business leaders, so our local business, and I thank you all for taking time out of your busy days to be part of this as well. Mr. Mike Sharp from Sharp Insurance, former student. I think Mike was in 8th grade my first year as an assistant principal at the middle school. Mr. Nick Sirianni, retiree and also a member of the Chamber of Commerce. Another Pitt guy. We got to stick together, Mr. Sirianni. But thank you for your fantastic work for the community over many, many years. Joe Cornell Financial Group. Carrie Butler, who's our district PR specialist. Anthony Sacco from State Farm Insurance. Steve Gardner from Eber and Associates Insurance. We should get all the insurance guys together, and it could be like the battle of the champs or something there. Chrissy Olds from Howard Hanna. Jeff Peters from Duquesne Light. Chad Haruka from FedEx, Mr. Ira Weiss, attorney and the district solicitor, Kathy Cook from WQED, Brianna McMeekin from PNC, Mr. Greg Zeman from Eaton Park, Marty Joyce, labor relations specialist and retiree, and Elena DePietro, a graphic artist, of course, a former alumni grad from the Baldwin-Whitehall School District as well. And then our educational partners, and our educational partners are really just a fantastic representative group of local, regional, statewide, higher ed, and also just community partners that really support the Baldwin-Whitehall School District. So I really want to start with Mr. Matthew Stem, the Pennsylvania Department of Education Deputy Secretary. Your involvement over the past year and your leadership has really assisted the Baldwin-Whitehall School District and our partners within the Pittsburgh region in just a great way. So thank you for your support, and thank you for taking the time to be here today. Ms. Lena Hanna, the PSBA Advocacy Ambassador. So at the state level, Pennsylvania School Board Association, thank you for dedicating your time today as well. From the AIU, so the Allegheny Intermediate Unit, and just an incredible representative from that group as well. We have Dr. Robert Shear, the AIU Executive Director and Baldwin alumni. Thank you, Mr. Shear, for being here. Kelly Noyes, the AIU Program Director for ESL and Federal Programs. Jennifer Began, the AIU Program Director for Teaching and Learning. We have Gina DeMarco Wall, the AIU ESL Title III Supervisor. Brian Wells, the AIU Assistant Director, working in the area of special education. And I believe that's all of the AIU group. Other educational partners: Casey Rich from SHIM, the Family Center, the site director; Vishnu Timsina, the JFCS career counselor; Dr. David Feingold from Chatham University, president of Chatham University. And I'd like to take just a quick moment for a story for Dr. Feingold. About 2 or 3 years ago, we sat on a panel together, and whether this was by fate, by circumstance, or by design, I don't know. But one of the youngsters coming in as part of our panel was planning and did attend Chatham University for that fall. So she had the opportunity, as part of her senior exit interview, to sit with the president of the university where she was going to be attending in a very short period of time. And what just an incredible experience for her, and even for myself, just to watch that from a distance and to see that connection even prior to her being on campus. Just really some great stuff. Mr. Robert Healy, Duquesne University Assistant Professor. Jackie Four, Consortium for Public Ed Director. Jason Edsel, Chatham University Exercise Science Program Director. Ms. Rose Hoffman, Pitt Associate Director. Ann Bizignani, Carlow University Graduate Program Coordinator. Dr. Sandy Ock, Student Teacher and Clinical Supervisor. And I think I got all of them. If I missed anyone, boy, I apologize, and please pop into this chat if I missed anybody through that list. But what an incredible day, an incredible list of partners to join us in really celebrating the accomplishments of the Baldwin-Whitehall senior class and the work that they have done. So I wanted to end by thanking you all for taking the time to work with the children today, to really be part of something truly special in the Baldwin-Whitehall School District. I hope that you enjoy your day. Take the time to really reflect on the work at hand today, the message from the children, the work of the children. All of our inboxes have probably been filled with some of their work, from their resume to their All About Me video. Challenge yourself and the children on your panel, for this experience is one that they remember forever. And I speak that from experience. I have 2 daughters. My oldest is 23, and she went through this process in 2016. My youngest went through it just last year in what was, again, a very strange senior year for that class as well. And they talk about the panelists that they had and the work and the conversation that they were able to engage in. And I think that's what's really, truly special about what we're doing. If you have questions about the process, please reach out to the committee members that were contact information. They were listed as contact information on the emails that you would have received. Or reach back out to me. I'll be present all day long. And again, I thank you for your involvement today in what really is a monumental event throughout the course of each school year, one that we look forward to on the calendar as educators and hopefully as community all year long. Thank you and have a wonderful day.